I'd like to thank you all for coming. My name is John White. I'm co-chair of the 22nd Market June 5th Memorial Committee. We're here today to remember what was a preventable tragedy that happened on these grounds and resulted in the death of now 8 people, 7 who are will be memorialized here. It's been a year since we gathered here, and during that year the committee's made some great progress in going forward. We still have some more things to do. We had good news this week from the Art Commission, who gave us final approval for the memorial and the design of the park, which was a terrific process that we had to go through. And the volunteers that are working on this effort did great work, and you'll hear from a couple of them today. Barb Fox, who's the artist who's designed the memorial, and Scott Aker, who's been the project manager, who's designed the park. We've enjoyed really broad support in this effort from people throughout Philadelphia, especially the building community, including the building trades unions and developers, one of whom you'll hear from today, Jerry Sweeney, who has been the fundraising chair for this effort. We've had great support also from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, the mayor and city council, neighborhood groups that are around here, the Fairmount neighbors and Center City residents, and we've had terrific input from citizens in the community, and especially from the families. We've made it a particular effort to work with the families in putting this memorial together. And in that regard, I'd like to introduce Gordon Beaumont, who was a lecturer at Penn. He's a resident of Center City. He's been an important liaison between the design teams and the families, and he's really helped us bring this design forward on behalf of everybody. So Gordon.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me. 2 years ago today, just where we are standing now, a completely avoidable incident killed 6 people. Anne, Mary, Kimberly, Rosaline, Borbor, and Juanita. These 6 spanned 3 generations, from 24 to 75 years of age. They were thriving in their communities of families and friends. 2 years ago today, these communities suffered terrible shock and the onset of anguish. Such anguish cannot be shared by others, but others must honor it. Out of anguish, courage and resolve can grow. Out of virtuous anger comes righteous energy. The energy fuels effort, which becomes planning and action. Wholesome action leads to important change. A larger, compassionate community of private and public leadership steps forward, not to share the pain, but to ensure that from pain, remembrance is created. Remembrance that is both powerful and beautiful. So here we are today in remembrance to honor the anguish of the families and to thank everyone who has participated in establishing this space as a beautiful, permanent memorial park. There is a saying that out of the mud, the lotus flower blooms, and out of pain and anguish, beauty and remembrance are established on this very corner. Thank you.
You know, in our country, in America, people volunteer for things all the time. And in Philadelphia especially, volunteer efforts are very much a part of the culture of what goes on here. There's been an enormous number of volunteers who have helped with the effort to build a park here. And one of them is Scott Aker, who is the project manager for this effort. And we found him through Gordon, actually. Gordon introduced him to the project. He happens to be doing graduate studies on memorial parks. He's been a phenomenal force in bringing our dreams for this park to fruition. And you're going to hear from Scott now. Scott?
Thank you, John. Good morning. This is a very sacred day and time to be here at this special space and place in Philadelphia. For the city of Philadelphia, the day of June 5th will now represent a response to tragedy, the rise of a dignified memorial. It's an honor to be here with the memorial families, an honor to be here with the Mayor Nutter. He is a great leader and has enabled us to have this space for a memorial park. He is continuing to provide us with leadership as we realize our dreams of this park, and I want to especially thank the Art Commission for guiding us and critiquing us through the design and making this the best memorial park possible. This is a special occasion today. We have a design that has been approved by the Art Commission and is due to Nancy Winkler's vision. And as I look into the eyes of the family members that we love, I'm in awe of your strength in this deepest tragedy. It's what powerful individuals can do to give purpose to a form of a memorial. The families have guided the design team and encouraged us to make a memorial park that is both sacred, reflection, as well as a place of celebration and education. We, the design team, has been working every day on the park, developing the details, refining, and incorporating suggestions from the city and the community. We want to make sure that everything is right in what we design and make sure that every element is full of meaning and symbolism. I'm honored to be the architect for this project because I believe it's the architect's civic duty to help the public in the time of need. And to design a memorial is the architect's greatest honor. For me, this time last year I was sitting at the University of Pennsylvania Library working on my memorial thesis for memorials and communities. And I just want to thank the committee for asking me to be the architect. And I'd like to say that this design is for the memorial families. I not only want to design and deliver the most beautiful park and memorial to you, the families, but to the city, for future generations. I not only want to be the architect for this, but for the rest of my career, watch over this park and to care for it. The Memorial Design Committee of Design Subcommittee of Jerry Sweeney, Harris Steinberg, and Nancy Goldenberg, and David Brigham has assembled one of the best and most talented design teams possible for this park. All the designers and licensed professionals are doing this project on a pro bono basis. The design has been oversight by Mark Folk and Nancy O'Donnell at Parks and Recreation, and I want to thank everyone involved in shaping this design. So Mark Morphy with Pannoni Associates, our consulting engineers for the structural and electrical work, Bill Melix and Peggy Carter with Centera Landscape Architects, PHS, the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, and they will oversee the design team, Al Borden in the lighting practice, Carol Neubauer with the construction management with LF Driscoll Company. We also have Joel Katz Associates, Richard Hunt, Archetype Typography, and my good friend Hussam has provided the renderings for this park. I also want to thank Mike Schweibe with Malvern Granite and Adam Cunningham with William Penn Performance Glass for really making this memorial sculpture what it's going to be. Everyone this past year has risen to the occasion to provide a design for the memorial families, and it is our hope and goal that this time next year we're standing in a park that is completed, and I'm confident that the public will rise to the occasion just as the design team has risen to the occasion. I also want to thank Hagen Construction and Josh Goodwin for the tremendous memorial poster that you see behind me. People will not forget this tragedy because this memorial is being designed with cues that will trigger memory and respond to the human senses. Just as William Penn designed the streets of Philadelphia so that people would remember and become educated, the names of the streets read and were supposed to be read corresponding to the trees planted on the street. Locust trees had locust trees on the street. With that idea in mind, intersections become an important opportunity for architects and planners to respond to the memory of place. And the memory at this intersection at 22nd and Market will not be forgotten. The date of June 5th, every component in the park is designed by a 5x5 module. It will be from the granite to the scoring lines in the concrete. It will be a place that people will remember and people will want to come and learn about the memory of this place. It is performative and permanent. It will be a park that can be used during the day and then at night through all the seasons. I'd like to introduce now the artist for the memorial sculpture, Barb Fox. She is a professional artist, art conservationist, and teacher at the Montessori Children's House of Valley Forge. Over the years, she's created large murals and had 15 sculptures on display throughout the elementary school in which she teaches. She is trained in set design. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree at the University of Pennsylvania, where she studied sculpture, and she's a graduate of the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, the same school as late Anne Bryan. Last spring, she was the winner of the design competition at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, and this past year she has led the design team through her vision of the memorial sculpture. It's a collaboration that I've enjoyed as an architect working with a talented artist, and it's been a real pleasure. So I want to introduce you Barb Fox.
I'm standing here reflecting back on this site, remembering when I first came here over a year ago, and thinking about all of you families affected by this tragedy. In a short while, we will gather here again, and this site will be a beautiful memorial park shaped and inspired by many of the people who are here today. I would especially like to acknowledge our architect and project manager, Scott Aker, for leading us towards this goal. The simple outline of my memorial sculpture called Witness could be interpreted as a house or a Greek temple with flattened pediment. I was inspired by Anne Bryan's last drawing, Nike of Samothrace, also called the Winged Victory, a true symbol of endurance. My goal in the memorial is to honor and unify 6 individuals who died here on June 5, 2013, offer solace to everyone affected by their tragedy, and mark the event so it continues to convey meaning to a broader community over time. The material selected for the sculpture is beautiful, reflective, and permanent. I chose American black granite, which is quarried in Pennsylvania. Its black color, a reflection of strength in the face of a tragedy that darkened an otherwise beautiful spring morning in 2013. Windows cut through the granite signify the enduring spirit of the victims. Unique glass colors convey special meaning to the victims' families. Historically, the human body has been used to provide a basis for units of measurement. Each window of the memorial measures 1 cubic foot, the size representing a human body. The windows, placed equidistant at heights of 3 feet, 5 feet, and 7 feet, symbolize a gathering of the 6 families and of the larger community coming together in the face of adversity. As the design for the Memorial Park developed over a year, my concept for the sculpture also evolved. The memorial began as a solid granite form, divided into 3 vertical sections, with the 2 sides canted for stability and dimension. The victims were found in a concentrated area of the park close to Market Street. This became the site for the memorial. I divided the piece into 3 panels, organized in a semicircle in front of the sacred space. The scale and placement of these panels creates an architectural context for contemplation. Colored glass in the 6 windows, with colors chosen by the victims' families, corresponds to the symbolic arrangement of colored glass circles spiraling on the ground in front of the memorial. The window heights of 6 windows correspond to the eye level of a child and the eye level of an adult to allow an intimate viewing. The open 7th window is higher and looks out beyond the memorial. The depth of the granite relates to the symbolism of 1 cubic foot representing a human being. The stones are 4 1/2 feet wide and are set 18 inches apart. In the final version of the memorial, I chamfered the sides of the granite. Walking around the sacred space, the viewer experiences both dimensionality and slenderness in the stones. The chamfered stones frame specific architectural views within the park. The angles of chamfering add a subtle tactile quality to the edges. From the public side of the memorial, 22nd and Market, the 7th window has been lowered in the final version from 16 inches above the 2nd row of windows to 12 inches above. From the sacred side, the highest window angles upward. A person standing in front of the memorial can look through the highest window and see the sky. The proportions of this sculpture convey meaning. It is 8 feet 8 inches tall, about the height of a commercial building ceiling. The arc is 15 feet in diameter. When we stand in the sacred space created by this memorial, its shape is a reminder that a building once stood here. Lives were lost in a preventable tragedy. We are acknowledging today those who are living still and honoring those who died. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb and Scott. Now I'd like to introduce Jerry Sweeney, who is the CEO of Brandywine Real Estate Trust. Jerry has served as finance chair of our efforts to build this park. This is an effort that Jerry really didn't need to get involved in. He is a developer. His work is all around town, everywhere from the Sears Center to investments he's made in buildings along Market Street. It's been wonderful for him to get involved and get the construction community involved in this. And Jerry, we thank you for that very much.
Thank you, John, and good morning, everybody. As you've heard, this has become a special place for the city. And every member of the committee, all the volunteers have been working very much towards and really driven by the desire to build something very special in a place where something so horribly tragic occurred. And as Gordon pointed out very articulately, there's a lot of meaning here, and we really want to look forward to what we can create. And it really has been a volunteer effort. Scott, Barbara, the Philadelphia Horticultural Society, Driscoll is our construction management company. All are doing their work for free and out of love of mission and creating something special here. Similarly, Pannoni Associates, Centera, the lighting practice, Sinaraba, and others are donating their times and services. But even with hundreds of thousands of dollars of donated services, we're still depending on public support to raise the cash to pay for the rest of the budget. This is a very small piece of land, but in order to build an appropriate memorial, a sustainable park, and a place of reflection, we'll need about $1.3 million. We plan to begin construction as soon as we have the money, and as Scott mentioned, we want to begin very soon. We've had great approvals and cooperation from the city, and at this stage we've raised about $650,000 in donations and pledges, with approximately $150,000 coming in contributions from construction and labor organizations. And from the beginning, I think the real estate community in the broadest sense, real estate developers, construction companies, and organized labor have really taken on this project to send a very clear message that in this city, quality ownership, quality building practices, and quality labor matters. We already have some very sizable donations from organizations with a keen interest in safe construction and quality labor. Turner Construction, Hunter Roberts Construction Group, the General Building Contractors Association, among others, and organized labor has been at the forefront with large donations from the Plumbers Union Local 690, Steam Fitters Local 420, the Iron Workers Local 405, the Mechanical and Service Contractors Association. The Electricians Union has agreed to provide the labor for the lighting of the park as a donation. So the entire real estate community is coming together to make this a very special place of remembrance. And we've received countless donations from individuals, from small organizations, and we're just about halfway to our goal. So we need to close that gap and get this park built. This park will be a great asset to this section of Market Street and to the city, but more importantly, it will provide a lasting reminder that development must be done safely and responsibly. So we thank all of those who have contributed thus far, both in terms of their time and their money, and we're asking others to consider making a donation at www.pennhort.net/memorial. And we thank you very much for your attendance today and look forward to closing the budget gap and getting this project under construction. Thank you very much.
Now I'd like to introduce the co-chair of the June 5th Memorial Committee, Nancy Winkler, who's was really the inspiration for this effort. Tragically, her daughter Ann died during the building collapse, and she is the person who really started the effort about a year and a half ago to build this memorial park. And Nancy is responsible for bringing together all the volunteers that have worked on the project, and we'll hear from her next.
Thank you all for being here today. I want to especially acknowledge all the family members who are here and those who knew the victims who've come, who've pulled together and supported one another over the past 2 years. 6 people were killed on this site, and others were severely injured. The 6 who were killed were Rosaline Conti, Barbara Davis, Kimberly Finnegan, Juanita Harmon, Mary Simpson, and her friend. And my beloved daughter, Ann Bryan. Ann's death has left a terrible void in our family, which can never be filled. I become very emotional when I speak about Ann. I miss her so much. Still, I love to talk about her because she was here. She mattered. She brought joy to me and to my husband, Jay, our son, Chris, and to her family and friends. She was, and still is, my darling daughter, a beauty inside and out. Anne was smart, she was fun, she was devoted to our family and to her very many friends. She had a quick wit and was a deep thinker, and she was concerned about her community and the world. She had a very special quality, to be wholly in the moment. She loved to hike and paint, cook, talk in foreign accents, dance, and to sing. In fact, for many years, one of her ambitions was to sing the Star-Spangled Banner at a Phillies game. So thank you for bringing back that memory to the Masterman Jazz Band. She was genuinely interested in others. She met people where they were, and she made them feel valuable. The day she was killed, she asked me to join her in an early morning bike ride to make sure we enjoyed the stunning June weather and to make sure we made the most of the day. I cherish the memories of that ride, and I mourn that there will be no more. I know each one of you, members of all the other families, have suffered a similar loss. When this happens, our whole community is lessened. We, the families and friends of the victims, miss them terribly. But this memorial is about more than our own personal loss. Philadelphia can and must do better. Our mission is to make sure that no other family will ever suffer the terrible pain that we know. City Council and the mayor have begun this work. What we must avoid is forgetting and going back to our old ways. It is our hope that the memorial will keep this memory of this tragedy in the public mind to help make sure this never happens again. We all know this famous quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it." The memorial by Barb Fox is touching and fitting. It will add beauty and hope to a place that's now associated with horror, a sad and shameful day for all of Philadelphia. It will tell the story of what happened and remind all Philadelphians of our civic commitment that it should never happen again. Thank you, Mayor Nutter, and thank you to all of your team who've supported us in championing this memorial. And thank you to the extraordinary team of volunteers, of members from all walks of our community who have brought their time and talents and worked devotedly over the past 2 years to develop a design and plans to fund the June 5th Memorial Park. With your help, we hope to raise the funds to build the June 5th Memorial and have a park here in a year from now. Thank you all again. I'd now like to introduce Mayor Michael Nutter, who has been so helpful in working with us to get to this place where we are today. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Nancy, thank you for your strength, for your love, for your commitment, and your focus. You help all of the rest of us. Earlier, I was over on the side here and talking to Jay, who asked me how I was doing, which is just another example of the strength and the love that these families have and that they demonstrate each and every day. So Jay and Nancy and Jay and Chris, thank you. for caring so much. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your leadership. And Zach, I know, is here for Mary Simpson and all of the families. John White, F. John White, thank you, the co-chair of the 22nd and Market Memorial Committee, a good friend, a great leader here in our city. Gordon Burmatt, thank you for your words of wisdom and kindness and thoughtfulness. I thank the Masterman High School Express Jazz Quartet. Barbara Fox, our sculpture artist, and Scott Aker, our architect. To the many public servants who are here and involved in this memorial. We thank the Art Commission for their timely action. To our first responders, many of us, of course, remember, and we will never forget that day, but the valiant firefighters who rushed into service from literally down the street, and our police officers. Again, we saw what they can do with a more recent tragedy here in our city, the Amtrak derailment. To the entire 22nd and Market Street Memorial Committee, we thank you for your diligence, your focus, and the hope that you give all the rest of us. We unfortunately know all too well what happened on that day, June 5th, 2013. And for many of us, it becomes one of those moments that is really seared in our minds. We remember exactly where we were or what we were doing at that time. It was in my office. I received news that there had been a building collapse. Had no details. And very soon there were details. We rushed to the scene, having no real idea what had actually taken place, but could certainly see the aftermath. Nancy has read the names of those who died here. But again, in our collective response that we will never forget, I will read them again and ask that we take a moment of silence and reflection. Let us reflect about Ann Bryan, Rosalind Conte, Barbara Davis, Kimberly Finnegan, Juanita Harmon, and Mary Simpson. Let us also remember the victims who were injured, especially Myra Pleckham, who was trapped for 13 hours. Under that building. And Susan Randall, and Betty Brown, and Shirley Ball, and Linda Bell, and Jennifer Reynolds, Nadine White, Margarita Acosta, Richard Stazarowski, Rosemary Kreutzberg, Rodney Geddes, Felicia Hill, and Daniel Johnson. As Nancy mentioned, in the wake of this incredible tragedy, there have been a number of changes in our city processes and procedures. In the last year, working with City Council, we made a number of reforms. The Department of Licenses and Inspections, investing more resources in personnel and training. L&I was brought under the umbrella of the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety. Again, making the point that this is, in fact, a public safety agency. L&I and the Fire Department, receiving new funding for more inspectors in both departments. And I want to thank City Council for their immediate response. Safety first must always be our number one goal. As a mayor and as a citizen of this great city, I recognize that government at all levels, but especially at the local level, can always do more to improve what we're doing each and every day. We're trying to move forward to make for a safer and better Philadelphia. My hope is that our entire city can continue to try to move together in a process of healing, remembrance, and reflection. And certainly a part of that process begins right here at this spot, on again this very hallowed piece of ground. Last year, I was able to announce that the Salvation Army of Greater Philadelphia generously offered and did in fact donate this parcel where its former shop was located, donated this property to the city of Philadelphia. I want to thank Reverend Bonney and Major Dixon. Please recognize the folks from the Salvation Army. That donation and transfer of the site to the city of Philadelphia made it much easier for us to be able to plan and focus on this memorial. As city property, this site will in fact be transformed into a memorial and public park dedicated to the people who died here and those who were injured. We will have a ceremonial groundbreaking for the construction of this park, and I look forward to the actual work beginning soon. Two last things. At a very personal level, it is my hope the size of this particular site will in fact expand, because I've long held the view that nothing should ever be built on this entire site, on this corner. Jerry made mention of, and Nancy did as well, the fundraising efforts, and that about half of the funds have been raised and about another half to go. I've come to share with you this morning that we will cut that half that's left in half. I've authorized we will in fact add another $300,000 to making this memorial a reality. And Jerry tells me that getting that close to $1 million, which will allow us to start, we think that we can fill that gap pretty quickly. And so to Jerry and John and to everyone else, I want the work to start now. We need to move forward. This memorial needs to happen with certainty and clarity and a definitiveness. The time has come. And I know that we have much more work to do. And we will raise what we need to raise. But I just want us to get there a lot quicker. May God bless you all. May God bless our friends who are not here with us and those who are injured. The memorial sculpture, as you heard from artist Barbara Fox, will include glass panes of different colors that have been selected by the families to honor their loved ones. And so now I want to present the families with a small replica of the window they have selected. I want to ask Barbara Davis in his honor. Maggie Davis, please come. Maggie, in honor of Barbara. Is Zach here? For Mary Simpson. Is Zach here? The Simpson family. And for Rosalind Conte. Nancy and Jay. For Anne. If there are family members of the other two victims, if you are here with us, could you please come up as we spend the Harmons? Yes. But the...
We have their glass painted.
I understand. The other one.
He's here.
Okay. So can I get you all to come up? And if you all could just turn around. My hope is that before the end of this year, we will have our efforts underway. We're going to be starting very soon. May God bless you and keep you all. God bless Philadelphia.